fun. I like I have watched it earlier. But it's I didn't realize that part was like all like snake for he's like watching it on the yeah, that was fun. Yeah,
Expression. So Richard, he was saying, what's this?
It was actually geared toward younger audience, which is crazy. Based on a comic or manga by Kazuo Umezu, and so which hits that manga is like also geared toward like younger audiences, but it's like if you have read it, then you understand it's like super gruesome and like so when we watched it, we were like, this is really crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like children. Yeah.
Scary moment.
Yeah.
Especially for kids. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. I know. Yeah.
So then like the way our team that was yeah.
I know I could. I'm like, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I like some sweet little like
And so what year was that?
1919. Yeah, yeah.
The effects are just so great.
It's a 1960. Yeah. I'm getting out sorry. Before I start real, I'm gonna pass it over to Jay to shout out his event, which is this week real quick, and y'all should have little cards.
So hi, my name is Jay. I'm the executive director of Cartoon Cross West Columbus, and we're a free comic art and animation festival in the fall, and we're announcing our lineup this Tuesday. It's free to attend, and the festival in the fall is free. Check out our website. We got a really good lineup. A amount of artists. I can't say who because it'll be on Tuesday, but it'll be really exciting. So if you have an opportunity, come on by. If not, just check our website. We'll have our special guest lineup. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, thank you all so much for coming. If you haven't met yet, my name is Morgan. I'm one of the admin team members for Hardcover Hotties Book Club. And I'll let my other teammates introduce themselves.
I'm Lauren, also admin for pronunciation her, and I'm so excited to see everyone here. I hope everyone enjoyed the music, and I can't wait to talk about the book. So
You made like second planet sky. I can read it for now. Also, and it's just a great. You the Netflix shows. Yeah. What is yeah. It was like the first season more than the second, but yeah, this is has been such a wonderful event so far, and our first event with Gateway, and thank you Gateway for having us. It's been just so fun. And if you all had a chance to like look at our vlogs, we post like the museum app all the time. And thank you to Stephanie who slays that every single month. But each time, like we always focus on have like a focus specifically on film and the power of film and like learning and sharing important stories. And this month as many of you know, is AAPI month, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, or May ones. And so for our book of the month for May, we, as many of you know, chose Yo by Junji Ito, which is a horror manga, and he's a really popular horror manga artist. And I encourage you to read it if you have a strong enough stomach and if you're interested in checking out like the world of horror manga. But it has just been awesome, really diving into like Japanese horror. And as we have been able to do with the Lady as well, the snake girl and the silver-haired witch, which I'm excited to hear what everyone's thoughts were. But horror is just such an exciting way to explore the way that we learn fear in like our culture, our society, and the people around us. And so using words like learn about other worlds has been really fun and something near and dear to my heart. So this has been an awesome one because I love words, specifically Japanese words. And yeah, so throughout like our meeting, I'm gonna be moderating the Zoom group. So we record all of our meetings and post them to our YouTube channel. So students who are not able to make it in person, either due to not being based in Columbus or other reasons, we like to give them that option. Or if you later find that this was the best meeting of your life, later that will also be possible. So throughout this time, like whenever you are more to speak, share your thoughts, whatever name tags on. So if you don't know anybody's names, you can introduce yourself like whenever you stand up with your name and pronouns, or if you don't know somebody's name, please ask. So we will. I'm gonna pass it over to Stephanie to get this part started. Stephanie, yeah. House.
Question, but does anyone want me to like see if we can get a microphone? Because people are having a hard time hearing, or if we could like turn this on, just in case it's like, is it hard for anyone to hear, like that kind of. Okay, I'll go see if I can figure that out. So.
There's also a microphone over there. I don't know if it's plugged in, but
Okay, I'll go on this.
So the dad did not know that the daughter was in the attic, right? So hiding, and when they did the Buddha statue, oh, I jumped a little bit. I'm like, what? Oh my gosh. Okay, so the dad did not know. Mom did know. And I'm sorry, housekeeper, is that?
yeah.
You definitely did. Okay, okay, gotcha. But the housekeeper wasn't trying to scare the older daughter. They were part of these. So there was no somewhere in which maybe they were right? younger daughter.
So like unleash your powers until I one of the things that I thought like the second time reading it was how this speech of the one like the teachers like right now. And it just so happens that the daughter is a real daughter. So maybe like you guys like what I think that it's so fair and maybe they were trying to get like average like on their lives, the bag, the hair. Yeah, that's right. I know. But yeah, I also I think like the mom did it. So she picked her the second time on years anesthesia. Yeah, in Mika. No, you're good. Yeah, it's like that's not yeah, so you can take like if they like 2 kids to the head, but like that's the thing to remember it. Yeah. 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 She can just bring the sheet over to write the. That should be a short period as well. Stuff that. I think that's maybe like my favorite. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how to connect it to.
Okay, it might not reach to all the way down there, but we could try. This is
I
the
don't know to shoot that.
down from the lobby. So, yeah.
Should we practice?
Yeah.
You can just pass it. Pass the talking set. Yeah,
I know that.
This is a prettier background. The light up.
It's like there was switch at first, like I think it would make more sense if there was a different like reason for why the older sister was kind of ostracized and not technically having been like like intended was for itself. I get to reveal, I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry, I will at some point, but there's a lot of Japanese where I'm curious about those who maybe not in this lines the ones that they're not because they not so you she was like she was always like positivity like where the other characters like once they were exposed as like evil, like she's a bad woman, a child, other people. So like I'm just curious, those people more heavily gone into this genre and specifically from the perspective of Japanese culture, like is it intrinsically like or is it more like kind of more the gray area in terms of morality?
Curious about the older daughter also staying at the orphanage for a second because when the man was talking about her, he was like, oh, I think she's an equity figure and things like that. So like, did like the anime the switch that pregnancy was older, but like, was there like a mix of that orphanage? Yeah, yeah. Because she was, yeah. I don't know connection on oh, what? In terms of, I mean, I don't know too much stuff. There's something in graduation, even in like, I'm not really good. I think, I don't know if it's always that good. I think it's maybe because it's always like living. I thought it was kind of, oh, this is good. This is bad. But I don't know.
Um, not sure, but I am kind of curious. It's how like how in the US we have the news movement, and so like if you had like every story had to have a moral and it had to be like everybody had to be good and it had to um, I it felt like amazing. Yeah, and I don't know, I think it was the reason why, priority was so like. It's like, one of those things is like, we have so many, positive. And I know this is teacher, she's like, I just, I'm like, what do you do? And like, everybody, I'll take the other half now. Also, just to know, we do have one Zoom friend, Ocean, all the way from St. Louis. Hello, Ocean. But they said that it's been a little bit hard to hear, so make sure that you also project and hold the microphone really close to your face. But in regard to this question about like getting people, I think that I haven't seen like a lot of Japanese stories from this section of this part historical context, like with string of like talking about morality. But I think that one thing that we brought up this morning, the four of us for chatting, and which I think is a question on the back of the, your pamphlet, which you did, have a little, but, the, like, how do we define, different things who are like villains and saviors in horror and the criteria that identify or like determines these identifications. And I think this can be said with like good and evil, and there is like the level cultural relativity. I think it's like interesting, and there's a lot to unpack there. Like I think what I'm getting at is that it's not an easily answered question. Hi, wonderful. I used to go comments. I was thinking about that question, throughout the movie, because I have like looked up the little things before. And it wasn't until like the scene in like the basement room where like talking my head again, was kind of the climax, because the brother was like, oh, she's kind of like manipulating her, and she's kind of like, trying to get her to like, study inheritance with her, is like kind of very good story. So I was kind of thinking about that, like, oh, so there's like, how do we see her as like with her evil, the sister? Yeah, but then also Charles, my friend Charles, sorry to cut you off. He brought up a really good point after the movie while we're still sitting in there. that at some point, and I didn't notice this, like, the older sister was really trying to get her out of the house. And so, like, it really didn't click for me until Charles said it, but like, I think that she was like trying to sustain her then, and then she kind of like saved her then, but I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like the idea of like a hero and a villain, not necessarily just in horror, but it's like, for some reason, my mom is very fixated on like the fact that they were children and the like culpability of the child. And the situation, especially a child who's been like very obviously neglected and like forced into a sort of, not like a personal thing, but like you said, like a correctional type thing. And so I just like, I feel a lot of, it's somewhat sympathy, although Jamie, we're laughing because it took Tommy a long time to like go up to the white machine and bashing her hand. She kind of just stood there for a moment. So I was like maybe a little bit of culpability. But yeah, I just think, and also like I think you were bringing up like how like clearly Sayuri was like this good character, and I don't know if that's maybe because she's a child and like that's all she really knew. I was just waiting for her to ask like, why are you doing this to me? Like that's just like I was waiting for her to say something like that. But yeah, she's very positive affirmations. But yeah, I think that's something interesting, like when a child is like the evil part, because then it's very easy to see that they were easily manipulated by someone when they felt neglected by a family. So somebody came to them and was like, you can be our own family, we can steal their fortune. And so obviously that was healing to her. Yeah, and I guess that also reminded me of like in horror, like, a lot of the villains are like a monster. Oftentimes, like the story is like, oh, but this monster is like a misunderstood figure, and they were ostracized in the same way that Tommy was. So yeah, I definitely think they still are many villains in that way, like in horror, they're responsible for events and actions, but yeah, a lot of times I feel like it's because it's rooted in some sort of like civilization that like force them into being other.
Okay, so I want to comment about the film and then the book, and that's okay. Okay. First film, why is boiling oil always on? And fuel, I guess I was gasoline next to it. I'm like, there's no safety in this house, so.
Yeah.
Also, like, I don't want to say foreign films, but like, films from other countries, they do certain things, like, someone gets, or.
Yeah.
Well, first off, I could not hold on to that long. And they just showed it all, like, so like, I was surprised. I feel like, I don't know why the American films, a lot of them might show that much. Regarding the book, I love when like, so like a adjustment phone, sometimes they talk about how did that, I can't say it like, hero. Okay. It's now that they can, without, thank God it isn't like smell of issues or actually sniff. But I think with that book, there is no, it's people against the elements, right? Or we created the technology that led to it, so it's our fault, but it wasn't like, there's no like evil. It's just, the creation is trying to survive, right? But yeah, it's an amazing book if you haven't read it. I don't, I think I was talking to you about it, with a lot of manga, I have trouble sometimes reading the manga, there's like 100 books, I don't know, more than that. But what I like about YouTube is,
short story or like just one book. And it's been a lot more digestible. And it's amazing what we can do with the graphics and story. Sometimes supernatural, sometimes not, and that book. I think it's interesting we talk about like big goes and like I think in horror a lot of times the monster is nation. I think we also use these curriculum lessons where I think we're talking about like think about like cyber things, it's like who dies, like the sexual like I think it's kind of a paramount issue. So you're always the big man. Then the mom kind of has some more independence for the story and others. It's really just like obey the times. There's kind of a parallel with that. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, I think it's interesting.
Yeah, first of all, with the kind of, the idea of like this guy, if you haven't heard of it, he has a long recollection of like his day-to-day life with his cats, but done in the same style as his horror manga. And it's amazing, it's hilarious. But also, yeah, I wonder if like, yeah, it's part of the reason maybe why we have this idea of having like not really being normal. Like not really like an evil villain being, and just kind of having it be like instead of like a struggle between good and evil, just being like a struggle between like something that is trying to continue to live. And I wonder if maybe like that is kind of a, trying to subvert like this horror narrative that's really common of how like there's good and evil stuff. I've never thought about the fact that there's like really no like really evil in this book because it seems like really straightforward because like obviously you have regular people and then you have the zombie monster things that like try to attack and kill and everyone. And that obviously they're evil, right? But then they already gets turned into one and then you see that they don't really have any, they're dead. Like they have no like things to do with it. So I think it's kind of interesting because then you're kind of like, well, not so sorry for listening, but also like literally gasping at the page, so terrified by. But it turns out that it's like not sad. I think it's interesting too, the way that Siberia stayed innocent and pure the whole time because I don't know about y'all, but I was in an trial, like it took like aging to be kind and decent to people. Like and also it's interesting that like as you were saying, Ari, the way that sexualized women can be like the victims, and also like the girl's name, the one with the star, but she was also described as selfish. And a lot of her like actions were probably for self-preservation or like she wanted to get what she wanted because she had been denied a lot throughout her life. Like she was forced to live in an attic for 2 years. Like, that's pretty heinous. Yeah, I just think it's interesting the way we assign like innocence to children when I think it takes isn't it age 7 and children really develop it or whatever. That's what I was taught in school. So I think I'm just curious as to one, what age are you really working the story, and also the theme of like innocence of children and how like that kind of doesn't quite match reality. If anybody wants to comment. gonna say we were talking about Japanese earlier. Maybe audition Japanese, and I don't think it's meant, but I felt like the point of the movie was that he was like a really moral sister, and so then basically this girl like has revenge on this guy. But the whole time I felt like the moral was kind of blurred. But the only thing that made him innocent and he was sort of clueless the whole time, he was sort of stupid. So there was like a level of innocence there. I guess I'm saying like the survivors, like I saw it earlier in survivors in innocence. And I was thinking, like the survivors is always like innocent, even if they weren't like the child, they're just like kind of clueless or kind of stupid, or you just sort of like feel bad for them. So like, yeah, this guy's not. I just wanted to comment on something that Jason shared earlier about, like, staying up with the very visual and theater and, I was thinking that. I think that's like very true. If you like this something say that once like either the fish or body part is taking over, like the movement like all sense of self, it really is just like it's gonna really like harassing people is how that is. But going back to the origin of how that smell even came to place is very interesting because they do mention the backstory of how my did mention Japanese imperial army. You know, we had this one idea, well, like that smells absolutely horrible. What if we biological warfare and the other people, island by island. So that was that stood out to me, and like as I was reading, I really thought that I was like, oh my god, this is like a whole other turn that like I was researching the book, and an immediate connection that I made. I'm reading this as a reader. That was talking about Agent Orange and how a master student was doing research on like soybean plants, and I was just like, oh my god, this is so awesome that like this could be like this person did. And like published the research, but then years later, found out that Agent Orange was birthed from his original research, and I spent so much time like being like that like one of the main like anti like orange really good orange. Yeah. And that's what we're doing. So he was like reading how like all the rallies and that, and it's just really interesting to see how like something that does for sure have innocence, such as eating or soybeans or that smells. Are like somehow very neutral, and then people use like find a way to manipulate, and specifically details because force really like organizing this and try to harass like large people and like get taken out of him. And then it doesn't come, oh, who started this? Like it's just like a lack of innocence. And it really does like push you to think about that aspect and like yeah, where it begins then as also from a leader and a sounds radio I was looking at me. And I think that yeah, I think that like an interesting kind of tie into like what you're talking about and like the discussion of like, you know, good and evil and like you know what like our role is in like society and like being supporter and good reading book called Underground by Murakami, and it's about like this idea of aftermath, and like he like does a bunch of interviews with like people who were like victims of it and like people who were like perpetrators of it. It's very interesting, and so like this person was interesting talking to you. I was listening to one of them. It's very interesting. Okay, so I want to say more about like the villain in watching you. It's making me think a lot about Resident Evil. No, I don't game, but my friend who does game that sent me the explanation of the certain villains of Resident Evil, and it's a little girl that has like mold in her genome, and she like spreads the mold to other people, and it like then the mold takes over, and she left. She's like a mind control. Also, it's a little girl, and like what she does with the mold is build family. So like once somebody who like isn't listening to the mold or whatever, that like she disposes of them. I just think it's interesting how like but she was also created as like a bio warfare. Then she was not unexpected, but then like she wasn't like straight up violent, she's not a bomb, but she was a child who's seeking family, but unfortunately the only way she can get it, like she can't be around people because she gives them the mold and takes over their family. Sorry, with the family, but I also wanted to go back to the question about what determines horror, like what determines the villain and what determines the failure, especially within the movie. So there's her people definitely led to her more like dark behavior because of her trauma and because of like ugliness and how like ugliness is like a theme in horror, and it's like it's always the grotesque that is usually like sometimes could be what is wrong, and then it's like as somebody who's like work someone in social work and has dealt with like personality or people, like I think like the way that like people who do not have traditionally like access to traditionally like keep themselves up like dental work and like washing things like that so that they can't maintain this like acceptable level of like cleanliness and like beauty, and they're often like discarded and seen as like evil. Like it's like only evil that it's like not only is there ugliness, if you like something that has like been created as a condition for them, but it's also like they're believing for it too, and how it's like they deserve their condition, like they deserve to be their ugliness represents how they are inside, when that's the thing that was also seen for not but in the movie where it was like, I'm not gonna focus on my appearance, I'm gonna be pure-hearted and other things like that, the way that like we tie morality to beauty standards, but we also beauty standards are tied to like money and class and access, and so I'm curious about y'all's thoughts on that. Because yeah, I was definitely watching the movie with like my disability studying the monsters on, because like we think about like the kind of social like ideas around disability, like we tend to very much like try to moralize it in our brains because it's a brain thing, and when we have to do something that just like happen and it can happen at any time, people want to moralize it so that it makes sense. And so kind of thinking about how like a bad smell or like somebody who has like her question mark. You kind of think about something that like disability study runs, but like we're trying to moralize like this girl, and especially because like Halloween have like it's said to have like this like mental disorder. So like these people want because she has like this mental disorder, and because like she looks different, and so like it's this way that we try to like moralize disability and moralize like differences and moralize like just people who look different from like the traditional norms and people who act differently. And even when like the snake skin didn't make her evil, but also we use the snake skin as like an out, like the brother says at the end, he's like, oh, the snake skin was like showing her evilness on the inside, even though that's not it. I don't know if that really quick, I was using the snow bag and in Parasite, it gets put on its head because normally, and I think that like, the viewer have at the moment because the main family lives in like the basement and it's like mostly submerged in water and stuff over there. So likely the smaller flowers is like probably not that much. And it's interesting that in the movie, the way it's turned on its head, it makes you you're pissed off because the rich people are like, it's smelling. You know, I think that yeah, I don't know. But like, because I bought other movies that play with like the horror film, like there's like a smell like attached to it, and it was like, you know, it was like a whole thing. So it's kind of interesting.
If we notify from an offensive standpoint, and it's kind of like this way of thinking, we do kind of look at how a person sounds. And then those are all something really that because other kind of less more, I guess, like, there's a lot of people like work and voice, you know, huge folks, people that kind of reflect the narrative of the movie that we saw where he spoke out with the family and then people were family for a while and then kind of they're being like, and I guess in this second day that we've been people in terms of like they obviously been but like some people it does reflect that way. It's like it's something a social system that's set up. The family kind of will be the girl and in this movie where they kind of are looking the evil or the negative income or the negative or not wanting to action later on is kind of greater even to be or some greater violence with that. They kind of think about like I've never really looked at the movie before. And I think even the other really where they kind of have the initial think mostly for kind of people at some point they are moralized or seems more complex beings and then there's this greater evil that or people treated and biological weapons to be violence or something.
But this comment is making me really think about how, especially in modern day court, disability is still used as a shock factor. If you look at art after its films, like you specifically have like people who have some type of usually physically apparent disability as part of like the horror aspect. It's scary, it was different, like, and how a lot of people who create horror don't think about the impact that has on like disabled communities, and it's like I think people who meet the more the heteronormative standard, like heteronormative like white standards, often like reach the most evil in the world. Like it's not usually people who have physical disabilities or mental disabilities who are like the arbiters of evil and of justice and all the like awful things in the world. Like it's usually like the person sitting but just how like there hasn't been, I guess, enough of a discussion about the way that like disability is exploited, I guess, to create fear in people and how that perpetuates like the notions that allow like the actual evil people to be doing what they're doing. There's like if anyone is speaking, please, I don't know. Like when Cooper talking like these scary little names, and there's like a very small man that has like a disfigured head, this like crazy shot cracker dream guy, and then he also imagines the like very calm man. But then the hero of that story, or maybe the victim of the thing, is more all right to like the mom. So also, I'm pretty sure that's really all the influence in that, but also they. I think it's weird. I think it's also weird though. I don't know if you like really have like thought into it. I mean, it's like. I think it's just like. What are you? It can be a nice movie.
With what you brought up, I was wondering if people think that this film really perpetuates those ideas, or if it was more challenging those ideas, and that it showed more a victim later on, or did it feel kind of perpetuated in narrative? So.
You know, it's definitely frustrating, and then I gotta walk around and speak different aspects of it, because nobody talks about how like at fault the mother everything was, but I with a lot of the blame. She let her daughter think she was giving her face, she let her daughter think that the other one was not doing it. So probably like let her young sister get locked up. Without saying anything at all. She's like, oh, I think it was mom different that. So I think like at this point in discussion, we're like, oh, this is like kind of breaking it down, like the mother is at fault because of this, but I don't think the regular person who watches this movie is like breaking it down to this point too. So I do think it like kind of perpetuates it a little, but I agree with your point, and also because at the end, and they're visiting mom's grave, and then the little girl sees the vision of her, and is been asking and being like, oh, she makes me a great gift, I'm gonna focus on being like a kind-hearted person and not care about my physical beauty. And you literally see it like as an image of the girl, and like her face is totally healed, and like she looks very beautiful, and like they all comment on how like beautiful she looks when she's dead. So like, ultimately once she is done the nice action of like trying to save trying to save the character, the little girl. Now suddenly, the friend is not beautiful. So I really think that it is kind of perpetuating our narrative of like beautiful things and stuff like that. And also, I also talk about how this is a film that was for children, right? So I think that a lot of like the way that like the little girl was able to like not able to, like her character, follow the rules and was always so positive, and then I think I can survive and so positive and like the kids of like, just be good and do what you're going to say and like always not to do it.
I think for me, one of the like things that I picked up on was also the mother in the film and how it felt like Sayuri totally had to like fend for herself. Is it on? Oh, okay. Basically Sayuri had to like fend for herself and figure it out for herself the whole time, which was like so terrifying. Like imagining myself in that situation. I don't know what I'm gonna do when a snake falls on me in my sleep. Like hello. But I also noticed that in Yo kind of too with like Kaori and Tadashi. She would be like, hey, it smells horrible. Can you help me somehow figure it out? And he's like, no, you're crazy. It doesn't, I don't smell it, whatever. And like she ends up becoming, obviously we see like how she ends up. But I think it's just interesting to like see how other people like in like some of the main characters' vicinity, like could have helped and like supported and like what that support would have meant for them in figuring out like whatever these like boards are, whatever these sprites are, especially Yo too, because it's so like no one knows where smell's coming from, but it would sure help if like someone's gonna stand by you to like figure it out. So yeah, I think it brings up interesting questions about like what that means and what that looks like.
Lauren, honestly, I feel like that's a reflection of our own identity because I feel like for fear was one of the first things to be like invalidated and like demonized, especially when it's in regards to things such as like the environmental concerns or like yeah, like familial violence or like those are things that are like especially by people who have the power to change it. That's the first thing to be like, no, actually you're wrong and you're lying. Yeah. Yeah. I think what Roman said, when I was reading the book, I thought the story from the other because we obviously like wanted from the very beginning. But I didn't really feel like I don't remember anything murder from the main character. I didn't really feel like I feel like he was as supportive as he could be because he was sort of like, I'm sorry, like I can't make this mom go away. He was like trying, but he also was sort of helpless and like can't really do anything. So I guess I think it's interesting that we have like a morally gray, the yeah, sort of feel bad on this. And but we also have a morally gray character because he wasn't that nice to his girlfriend and he was a little bit inconsiderate, but also at the same time, you're kind of like, what did he really do in that situation? So I feel like there's no real like I mean, I guess maybe there is an underlying, but I didn't feel any like sort of way about him. I feel like there is I've read a lot of Junji Ito books now, and I see all his characters are kind of like morally gray just because they seem to sort of just be along for the ride. Like they can't really do anything at that point. Like when you go into a haunted house, there's like a little boy standing there and he has snacks. It's like what do you do? And you can even like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I can like all you have to do like with your friend. Like, it happens with the best of us. Yeah, I was really liking the connection to theory and like therapy because something that really caught my attention and also in the film as well was just like the manifestations of like horror for each individual character. So for and like just it being like a reflection of like the society and everything. But no really like as a young girl. Okay, or people have, they agree. As young girls, wanted to be absolutely like world shattering to not be beautiful. The very first thing that Fiore like focuses on is she's like, oh my god, I have some like oil on my face. And she literally transforms into like a robotic being, but the first thing she does is literally crawl to a mirror and it's like research like this is it. Well, first thing she said, like, oh, you're robot now. What is it? But no, she literally tried to take away her own life because she didn't it was just absolutely like world shattering and horrific for her to no longer like be socially like for like possession of the attacker. And we see that play out pretty much the same for I'm gonna say what Tamani. Yeah, for Tamani to peel off her quote regular face, see like her scars and then like go lay on her bed and like cry and be like I'm just always gonna be like this. This thing is right, but also I have to look forward to let me just like burn this on. Like, yeah, those are really like, why are these young women like nothing to concerned really about the domestic life when they're no longer like their place in society is like a pretty big part of them. Like it's unimaginable for them and like what is that reflection of like being like in like the forefront to like immediate marginalization. Like, yeah. Yeah, I feel like
like desirability is kind of like when, you know, young girls in the film and also in the book are like, that's which one is the most important thing because desirability is also like considering like all of the other stuff, you know, according to like society, it's like, you know, desirability is just gonna get you like ahead in life. And so, when they like lose that, like it literally is just like they feel like they have lost like everything. People are like, I said that every time. What? So weird. Anyway, oh, January decides to just end it all, when she's not cute anymore, but like, I think it's interesting that that's a critical of the image and not the constant smell of the bodies and the like little sharks walking around in the streets. And the fact that the whole city like this is like brutally demolished, ruined, but then I guess I was just the final straw. I don't know. I just feel like the sharks walking around on like spider legs and like
Yeah.
nothing happens. I don't think that I don't think the boils is like. No, I guess I was thinking wrong. But then also she thought that her boyfriend was like cheating on her, so I thought that was like. I know she was in line. I feel like, the notion like that you need desirability and for, you know, in some ways, I've actually the last traditional citizen, like, to be desirable will simulate the general, like, what is generally on its spin, and once you lose your desirability, you know, especially if you're marginalized, like, that is your only access to power and by power, safety. So it's like no longer are you safe, no longer are you accepted. And so like, I think it's interesting that like throughout a lot of these books and media that we're consuming that like it's reinforcing the ideas that like if you don't meet the standard or if you're at the standard but something knocks you down from it, life is no longer worth living. Like that is the only option. I think the distinguishing between the things in the parts of the story that were specifically terrifying to the characters who were experiencing it is like an interesting distinction because I think in some ways, in a lot of ways, it was different from the things that like scared me the most, like as a viewer. And I'm interested in knowing everything that's scaring you guys the most after this. But I think like Lauren talked a lot about like in the August spotlight about like cosmic horror and like ego horror and like the all-consuming world shattering pieces of like these stories that are like make your skin crawl and that's like the smell and feel that's like you can't escape it and it like so much to the point where like it's infiltrating your world as like a reader and it's coming like off the pages and it's like the I think like separate from that like the body horror just like always fits me too because that's like if I feel it like as a word and but that's like not something in like body horror like movies I feel like it's not like something that is scary to the person experiencing it always. I don't know.
No, what I mean? No, I have like a small problem. Oh.
I think I know we can make I think I can think of one off the top of my head, but I think that sometimes in horror movies, lines between like pain and pleasure are, like very thin, so I kind of agree with you that sometimes the person experiencing the body horror and, sometimes is not always terrifying.
Or like
Um,
unsettling, like terrifying.
yeah, 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 so I get it.
So, I do want to ask, like, did anyone, I see this sometimes in, different horror movies, crime movies, classes. So they use let me say housekeeper, sorry. And she straight up said, it's about money, it's about cash, and it's about power. I don't think she said that, she didn't say cash and money, and we're gonna split it, and, I see that, you brought up Parasite, perfect example, Russian Tiger, and like, Caretaker, and so there's this almost like, the people with power and money are just seem pure, while the people who are serving them are where the evil choices are made. And it's such an interesting, and I see that a lot, and it's so difficult. I mean, I know there's probably just as many stories where the eccentric rich are the evil ones, but still. And I think in the book, I don't think there's any class of them. It's just they don't even have isolated. I don't think so. Isolated rich who are moved to their mountains or anything like that. It's really screwed, and everyone's smelling this. But it's interesting that this was the 60s, the film. And what was Japan then? I mean, it was industrialized, and there was that. Well, there was probably always that separation of classes, but probably even moving further up and down. So, anyone want to comment?
Also, I've been talking to Brett about reading yoga, but also other than the books was that, there isn't like a class thing, and I think that a lot of like, if all of the mold made this into a movie, you would add in a line that was like, and all the rich people on the presidents, they're all fine, and then the next one, and you'd be like, yeah, fuck that. But in yoga, like, it's like, everyone just is done, which I think is what I was saying earlier about how I feel like everything just was like a long for the ride. But I was talking very about it because I get nervous reading books reading books generally sometimes and watching movies because I feel like I see a lot of just like the little hidden misogyny and stuff, just like the little things. But and I'm interested to hear what everyone has to say, but I don't feel like Junji Ito really writes his female characters very different from his male characters. I think in Yo, it is a little bit more because Dory's like really hysterical the whole time. But you also kind of understand why she's hysterical. You know, how she's a crazy woman. Oh, why would she get upset about this? You know what I mean? But in his like short stories, like it would go from female character to male character to female character, and I didn't really feel like any type of way about the way he from female characters. I guess I'm just I started living in a food mafia, and I feel like that's also very similar in that it is like a girl and her boyfriend are like the main character, are the main characters. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't read all. I don't think that, I think it was pretty. But it was pretty.
I was gonna say that, that's the most ready.
I've read a lot of the Robin's work. I've also been a couple of movies with them. And I think in the story is considering around victims and but he's talked about this actually, and I think it's really interesting that he was and it is some I don't know about that much about that in fiction, but he's like it's almost surprising how like similarly he writes the money in the stories. And so that's just And like, yeah, they usually are, and like, you know, like he has a couple of really funny short stories that are from the female perspective, and it's just, I mean, it's about the happening of female, so it's, I think that's just really interesting, so I'm wondering if anyone has seen that in other Japanese literature, or if that's kind of like a through line, or not.
I don't have an answer to your question, but I do think your comment about like how certain writers feel like it's volunteers over to take this movie and to adapt it, like to it as a class on like, and that like Yo's and like classic, I think it is really important for like creators to know their names. Like if you do not have a good class analysis, don't throw it in there. Like Infinity Pool, trash. It's like some a lot of films I noticed like rich people being bad. If you're not gonna do it well, don't do it. Like dollar succession. Like also again where it's like male right, like Sam Levinson, I'm airing you out right now. You don't know, right? A woman, like so avoid it in general. Like if you can't like if you're gonna create a perspective and try and make it unique or like apply feminist or whatever, like actually get into the nitty gritty bits of it and not just the surface level, because I find that like I'm really let down by pieces where I'm supposed to like see it through this like it's like it's just missing the mark and you're like this could have been so good if somebody capable made, but it's like it's I just think it's like part of doing the range, and so I feel like the opportunity to probably knows that like that's something that's put a comment on, so he's gonna like he's not gonna comment on the like specifics of the female experience in Japan. So he's gonna make sure that those characters are just generally equal. And I would much prefer that from a world builder than to like just saying that you haven't it's just like it's lacking and it's not there. And then I'm just like, man. Oh yeah, with the one just burn it. Next to others, there's a lot of bad ones. A lot of good ones. Why have one been showing June 9th, I think here. Wow. Oh, no, there's a really have been shown as with my favorite. Second, and it it's a good Japanese, but it's Korean. It's Korean and it doesn't take place in Japan. I think it takes place in Japan.
Yeah, it's Japanese occupied Korea.
Oh, Japanese.
And the
I think that's what makes Japanese so really good is that he just said. He just wanted to- yeah, he's like, I'm gonna write something crazy that you've never seen before, and I'm gonna draw it, and it's gonna be crazy. But one thing that I really liked about this book was like I was reading it at work, and like it's really like outwardly gasping and like when Kiori is revealed that she's like the like robot thing now, I literally said, this is crazy in my while I was sitting down reading it because I was so shocked. Like, so it's not very often that a book like can do that. I can't remember the last time when I read a book and like outwardly gasp. So I think like horror manga is so fun. Like the experience of reading it and being scared by it is just really exciting because there is like there's waves by each page, so there are no scares. Like when you turn a page and see something that you've never seen before, it really is like so exciting. And like Junji Ito's visuals And I think like the first time I went to, I remember looking at my Goodreads review from like last year, and I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And a lot of his other stuff is very similar, like the being able to capture like a moment in time that is the most like gruesome, rolling thing ever is really powerful and not a lot of people can do it. Yeah, I think I was saying before this that I love the stylistic things, like I love like art, just seeing different people's like art style. I'm talking about like the kind of way that Junji Ito can like create like the most gruesome moments in time, maybe in terms of like art and being on here with like the if anybody's seen that song. Yeah, I like terms of yeah. And yeah, like I just think that like, and that's also why like I really liked the movie was because it also felt very stylistic where like I like seeing like the dream sequence and just how they did it. I was like, sometimes it was
I thought like the dream.
Yeah.
Come over and just like that. And then just kind of like that's like acting on the book.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wanted to go back to like basically the way that Junji Ito builds suspense through like formatting of the panels, which is just so crazy. And I have a page pulled up here as a visual aid for the people. But like the way that it's formatted is just so like you totally do like there's a time sequence to the way that you look at the page, like based on where he's put certain text bubbles, like and the way that things are moving out of the panels also like certain, I guess like automatopoeia, right? That's what that's called, like way out. Yeah. Or whatever. Like those words are like sticking out of the top of the panel. So the way that your eye bounces around the page is like totally is like totally sorry is like totally constructed by him just through the combination of visuals and words, which is awesome. And also I don't know how you would describe some of the things that go on in this book. I don't know how you put that in a sentence. Like the only way to do it is to see it, really.
Okay, can y'all hear me? You can.
And every time it comes.
Oh, okay. Well, I think people can hear me, so I'll just say it. But I had did. Sorry.
Another I'm like, I want reading a book that I can hear, see, and smell. You know what I mean? And like, I feel like I'm there. And that makes it learn. I remember reading that at work too, and I was like, reading so fast. Like, I was like getting anxious.
I think Ocean
Oh yeah. I was gonna say just like how Lauren was saying about like not having words to honestly describe like the book. I wasn't sure what to expect like at all. And I was trying to like finish reading it at my job because I thought the book club was actually yesterday. So I was trying to finishing it up and stuff. And it was really, okay. Anyways, so it was really interesting. I wasn't sure what to expect. I've never read anything like this before. And I feel like I want to even say it was predictable, but the part when the uncle was like inspecting the mechanism or the machine for the first time, like I knew it was going to get snatched onto his arm. But when I turned that page and I actually saw like the machine snatched on his arm, I was shook. I was like, oh my God. Like I imagined it like on my arm and I wasn't sure like what I would do in that moment. And I was like, oh shoot, his arm is about to get snapped off. And even then, even when I first saw that towards the end of the book with like what happened to, I'm not sure how to say her name actually. Is it Korai? Peori?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Even though like with someone else said something about how in the beginning of the book, she kept smelling the smell and like Her boyfriend thought she was kind of like crazy or whatnot. And I was like, oh my gosh, something is gonna happen to her. Like, is she gonna just magically turn into one of them or whatever? I could you not, I was not expecting what I saw. I was so shook. And I would also like, I didn't hear completely the beginning of the questions about like evil or like goodness that you guys were kind of talking about. But I do know at some point I was just so upset with the uncle for what he did to her. And that was like the one person where I was like, if there is anyone in this book who's a little maybe like evil or had the wrong intentions going, it probably would have been him. And then towards the end, then when he like turned into one of like the machines too, I was like, wait, if he's like dead at this point, then he's not really kind of controlling what's going on either. But y'all, my heart is heated just like thinking about the book. I was not expecting it. I don't even really like watch horror or read horror stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, thank you. Wait, who picked this one out? I'm sorry.
It was like a very like group decision.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you all because I would probably ever touch that book or a book like that ever. And I honestly am really grateful and thankful that I did read it. It was really cool.
Thank you, Ocean, for sharing. That was awesome. I also agree that I don't think I would have picked up this specific book, like out of all of like Junji Ito's, because I haven't like read like this and I read Smash like before this, but I haven't read Uzumaki or anything like that. Like I feel like I would have gone for one of those. Like I don't know if I want to read about fish, but I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I did that. Feel that way too. What's that?
Our estimating the time for wrapping up was 9 p.m. So I feel like now's a good time to talk about like any other like lasting points that anybody had, anything that anybody wanted to bring up anything from the parties that you wanted to touch on?
You mentioned artistically. What a great artist, what a great design, what a way to combine where when they use shipping dock and it just smell the fish. Adding smelly steampunk. I don't know how. I don't know if it's like, and it's almost like you heard someone say you should do a zombie thing. Okay, we take this up. I just can't imagine how they don't get together. And I know like maybe the character was wondering, so it was just a force of nature. And I think he came up with the plot after he came up with the designs. I mean, I can imagine, I think maybe they showed some of the sketchbook, or maybe I saw that online or something. I can't even imagine it. Up with all of that. Steam crab sharks. I mean, anyway.
I don't know if anyone had the chance to read the short stories at the end of the book, but it's like the Girl 12 incident or something like that. I don't remember the name of it, but that story is like I thought one of the most like creative and like it's crazy stories of his. And if you haven't read it, it's like there's an earthquake and then like there's like a fault in the mountains and everybody is like drawn to it. And then they see a bunch of human shaped holes on the side of the cliff. And then it turns out the holes are like they're like made for people. And then like the last scene, it lives in my brain. Like yeah, it's great. It's just well, if it's all right to do a little wrap up. introduction for next month's book of the month. So here's some talk. If we have some fans of lesbian. Then you would be excited to hear that next month we are going to be reading this identification, Queers of Color and Performance of Politics by Jose Munoz. And we are very excited to explore more in honor of yeah, and okay, so there were a lot of media suggestions that you guys like were also and so many of them basically like because I just immediately like passed into the website and like look at past media maps. August I really appreciated opened up with like the disability lens, like doing it from that direction. It made me think a lot of when we read You're the Pike, not the Slave by Swan. On that media map, there are a few on the resources section, there are like a few more interesting articles that like really like connect with that and other pieces as well that relate to like portrayals before and disability and just like the effects and the stigmas that it can create or like further emphasize. But if you guys as fans of gay people, if you have a media Rex, feel free to the DM Hardcover Hotties again and be like, yes, Handmaiden is the best movie I've ever seen. You have to have this on there. Shout out to that, which I agree, I feel like that. But yeah, feel free to send that over. And honestly, this not to speak for my team, even though I know they would agree, but it's just been such a great event, and we are so thankful to Gateway. We are thankful. It's been so great to finally be able to like merge things that we talked about and definitely like come up in conversation in past meetings and the take on the chat. Very much show it to you and then merge the two together. Again, if you liked just really like experimenting with the format of manga and yeah, like what everyone was saying, like you wouldn't be able to really like believe it until you like saw it like drawn out. That's the beauty of manga and graphic novels, and we're really also thankful for them coming on this process. And super excited to continue to build connections throughout college and in the future. So, any other words on this? Yeah. Both should be accessible via space moments. And we should be having copies of next month's book in soon. If you haven't had the chance to read Joe, those are also up there on his site. We do have a PDF version of this identification screen, which we'll be sharing on the Instagram and yeah, check out the YouTube for like those performance, like subscribe, comment, share, and okay, so for each month we do like a little like fun thing on the blog or on the Instagram. So given the nature of this book with it being Pride Month and with it focusing on careers of color in the politics and performance, we're really looking to like showcase the talented people in our community. So this is like our first call for artists and performers to like send in any ideas you have. Connect us with people you know, or to send in videos written that could be added to an online talent. Hardcover Hotties first ever online talent show. So yeah, and we'll update y'all throughout the month on that. And we'll see you here at Gateway Film Center this time, next month, for folklore.
Thank you, Ocean. Thank you, Ocean.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Of course. Have a good night, y'all.
Bye. I would just put